Alderman Subak,
Here.
Alderman Coles,
Here.
Alderman Talmy,
Here.
Alderman Peisig,
Here.
Alderman Knipe, Alderman Shockey,
Here.
Alderman Wesley, Alderman Winger.
Here.
Okay, quorum being present, first item we have tonight is approval of minutes of April 12th, 2007. Make a motion to approve.
Second it.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item we have are items to be considered at future meetings. We have the report on 1 Wooddale Place Apartments, the RFP for zoning code rewrite and zoning map revision, model ordinance requiring community antenna television system to obtain franchise, B4 zoning district, changes to ZBA procedures. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to add? Hearing nothing, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
On a question? All in favor?
Aye.
I'm calling to order the Finance and Administration Committee meeting. Will the minute taker please reflect the same members are present? I make a motion to approve the minutes dated April 12th, 2007.
Second.
On the question? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item is for information only. It's a Treasury report for the month of March 2007. Mr. Manager?
I'm sorry, I don't have that with me right now. Did you get a copy of that in your
Yes.
packet? Okay. Basically, that is our treasurer's report and for the month of March. And if there's any questions or anything with that, I'd be more than happy to try to answer those questions.
Okay, I see that it does have the average rate of interest according to the funds, Mr. Mayor.
I was just going to say thanks for adding the interest rates into it. It's very helpful.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Item is for information only. Next item is items to be considered at future meetings. Item A, 2006-2007 budget amendment. Item B, special census targeted for May 10th, 2007. Item C, alternative financing for early retirement incentive targeted for June 14th, 2007. Any other items? Alderman Shockey?
Yes, about a year and a half ago, we got from Gary home a, what'd you call it again? The
Organizational
chart and structure. I'd like to see if we can have it for a future meeting and have them give us an update on that, to look at it again.
Yes, we have that available. That can be sent out in your packet immediately. I thought that was, the last one was distributed. If you'd like to have them explain the organizational chart, we'll put that on the agenda.
Right, please. Thank you.
Are there any other items? I make a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
On the question, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
I'd like to call to order the Public Health, Safety, and Judiciary Committee meeting. The minute taker can reflect that nobody left. I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of April 12th, 2007.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It passes. Next is a report and recommendation on the red light enforcement. It'll be presented by ACS Company and Wooddale Police Officer Monica Lewin. Shackelford. Sorry, I mumbled it.
Good evening. Tonight with me, I have Officer Monica Shackelford on the extreme right of the table. Also to the immediate right of me is Lou Miller with ACS. Tonight, we're going to take you through the process for automatic red light enforcement as we see it occurring in Wooddale. Also, staff is requesting at the end of our presentation approval from the committee to waive bids and allow the city manager to negotiate for professional services with ACS Public Safety Solutions for red light enforcement at the intersection of Wooddale and Thorndale. With that, I'd like to now introduce you to Officer Monica Shackelford, who would be our program coordinator for this.
Hello. Well, when I first heard about this program, I didn't know much about it either, so I'm just going to take you through the basics of what it is and why I think we need it. Maybe. Cut down, okay. What does it do? Red light running cameras monitor the movement of traffic at designated traffic signal locations and the status or color of the traffic signal indication on approach. How does it work? Movement detectors, either video detectors or embedded loops like what we have with the track guard system, check for the passage of vehicles into the intersection, and if the signal is red, they cause pole-mounted cameras to record pictures of the vehicle position and the license plate. The red light running camera systems will differentiate between vehicles running a red light and those vehicles stopping just behind the stop bar, or the vehicles that stop and then make a legal right turn against the red indication. What types of violations do the cameras capture? They capture through violations in which a vehicle disobeys the signal and continues straight through the intersection. They capture left turn violations in which a vehicle would disobey the signal and turn left against the red light. They also capture right turn violations in which a vehicle doesn't stop at the red signal and turns right. Many people don't consider that violation to be serious, but I viewed some videos that the city of Chicago had at a seminar I was at, and you can get some pretty serious accidents, and actually pedestrian accidents too, for cars that aren't paying attention whether pedestrians are crossing the street. They go through that and they can hit a pedestrian. So those are actually pretty serious violations. It sort of froze up on me again. Why should we consider automated red light enforcement? Well, from some statistics that I read in my research, red light running factors in more than 800 deaths annually, and more than half of the people who die are hit by red light violators. To bring it a little bit closer to home, failure to yield violations, which are the ones that I was talking about before, have consistently ranked as one of the top causes of accidents in Wooddale. And that's from our traffic crash data that we compile every year. And lastly, to educate motorists on the dangers and potentially injurious consequences of disobeying red light signals. As far as where we should implement it and why, the Wooddale and Thorndale intersection is consistently rated second in the number of accidents from that traffic crash data that we compile every year. And there's a high volume of traffic at this intersection. From an officer violator safety standpoint, it's a challenging intersection to monitor and enforce violations. And I'll get into that a little bit more in a second here. Why is it difficult to otherwise address red light violations? During peak hours, and when I see peak hours, I mean rush hour, or morning and afternoon, it's difficult for the officers to safely make traffic stops on red light violators, because a lot of times they're forced to run the light themselves in order to effect the stop. And obviously that's not a safe situation either for the officer or for the motorist. And as far as monitoring that intersection, it's challenging to find a spot from which to do that without becoming sort of a hindrance to traffic yourself. Vendor considerations. We've narrowed the selection down to 2 possible vendors, Redflex and ACS. And ACS is currently our vendor for the TraxGuard program. I'll just take you a little bit through what each vendor has to offer. Redflex offers the following services: a fixed monthly service fee, and you can see the figure there, for equipment lease and maintenance. That price includes all the hardware, construction, and installation of the systems and all of the associated maintenance and support services that go with that. They also have a fixed monthly service fee of $4.80 per violation for the support services required for processing the violator notices. And that fee of $4.80 includes the printing and mailing of all of the notices, collection of payments via a walk-in customer service center by phone, mail, or via the internet, adjudication and scheduling by mail, fax, and by phone, and supported through an online scheduling interface, bilingual violator call center support, and delinquency collection services for notices that aren't paid, and all printed reminders and violator correspondence, and then expert witness testimony in the event that a violation is taken to an adjudication process beyond the standard administrative hearing. As far as ACS goes, you can see they offer the fixed monthly lease for a rear-only system for that top figure. That second figure includes, that's a monthly lease fee per camera for a front and rear camera systems. And if I'm sure you guys are familiar with that intersection, there's a lot of tractor trailer traffic that goes through there. So that front camera is almost going to be essential, obviously, to track down the right person when they violate the red light. Their fixed monthly lease fee also includes the following: the pre-installation engineering site surveys for camera placement, system installation, and all the ongoing maintenance, including the repair and replace warranty for the life of the contract, and the initial review of captured violations per the city-approved business rules, which we would obviously set up in the future. Industry-leading DMV acquisition for Illinois and out-of-state violations with average hit rates exceeding 90%, and relationships with all 50 state DMVs plus the District of Columbia. And police web approval. So no citation will be issued that has not been reviewed by a police officer. So in every case, a police officer will review that violation and, make sure that it's good enough to be sent out. High-quality color printing and first-class mailing of 2 customized violation notices, a citizen web portal for viewing violation data, images, and videos. And Lou's going to go into this a little bit more, but motorists will be able to go online and view their violation. Payment processing, including lockbox and pay by web, linked to that citizen web portal, and phone and mail customer service, including processing of nominations and return mail. Oops, sorry about that. An administrative hearing web module, including online hearing, calendar, and disposition entry with access to violation data, images, and videos in the hearing room. Hearing packets, including the applicable system maintenance logs, again, the expert testimony, and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, web access to all violation data, images, and videos, including the rejects at any time for audit for full vendor accountability. Advantages of working with ACS. We've been working with them for quite a while on the TraxGuard system, so we have that long-standing working relationship with them with established contact people. Consistently prompt response to maintenance issues and requests. And I think one of the most important things, they don't cap the number of violations included in the fee and then levy a per ticket overage. So that fixed monthly fee is all it's going to be. For as many, violations as we receive, it'll always be just that fixed monthly fee, which is comprehensive of all the services. There's no, obviously, additional service fee, again, for administrative services as we would have with Redflex. Just to kind of expand on that a little bit more, with Redflex, if we issue more than 225 citations per month, and we've sort of projected for that first year $350 a month, it'll cost Wooddale over $7,000 in the first year alone. And that 350 is a projected number, but at least from my perspective, there's no telling sort of how that's going to play out, so it could be well over that. And ACS does not charge, again, the per citation fee, and their cost includes that front and rear camera system, which is going to be essential in optimal enforcement of the intersection. And we feel that based on the long-standing relationship that we have with ACS and the great strides we've made together in overcoming operational issues, we feel that ACS is the vendor with whom we would like to launch this safety initiative. As far as goals and objectives, we'd be looking to reduce violations by 30% in that first year and have a 25% reduction in collisions at the Wooddale-Thorndale intersection. And also, importantly, is to educate drivers about the hazards and the consequences of red light running. And that's it.
Question?
Certainly.
How much are the violations going to be?
$100.
And then how long do they have to pay that? Because I was the lucky recipient of one in Chicago on the way to a White Sox game, and it went from $125 in a blink of an eye. It was $250 because Mr. Lawyer blew it off more than 31 days.
Right.
When does it go from 100 to the next step?
Alderman, that's still to be determined. We're going to have to be setting up our business practices on that. Once we start going forward with this, we'll starting to be setting all the parameters on our business practice for first, second, third, and final warning. I would think that probably somewhere in the area of about 45 days.
Right, that's
We'd
what I
like
was
to try to give
suggest.
people the opportunity, if they also like to have a hearing, to come in as soon as possible. But I think from what we're seeing out there, about 45 days now is about the median thing. But once again, we haven't set that as a hard number. That's to be determined at a later time when we start establishing our business practices.
So it goes from 100 to 200 then?
Once again, there's
gotta
going to be
be
a collection
established.
element with that. We're just looking at the initial as 100, and once again, after we consult with ACS further with regards to collection, we'll determine that number down the line. But we would also like to take input from people.
Current state law authorizes a late fee up to...
Sir, you need to speak
excuse me.
directly in the microphone. Thank you.
Sorry. Authorizes a late fee that can be as much as doubling the original ticket. But again, as the chief mentioned, that's to be determined by the city.
And how long is the contract that ACS wants?
3 base years plus 2 1-year city options.
And then what is the charge for the administrative hearings or collection proceedings?
Okay. That the fee that you saw, depending on whether the city elected the rear-only system or the front-rear system, which I think is the direction the city is leaning, is all-encompassing of the administrative hearing module.
And then what, do we have the ability to suspend their license if they don't pay? That might be a question for the chief.
Yeah.
I believe we do have that option, according to my latest conversation with Bill Belmonte. We do have to enact one piece of legislation on the city side, though, so that we can actually do that. And that would be done during the period of when we're doing the construction.
Because that's my guess is the best way you're going to get people to pay it is all of a sudden it is a ding on their, I mean, because Chicago's, it said right on there, it's not a moving violation, so it didn't get reported to the Secretary of State. But I'm thinking of an out-of-state driver or a truck driver, unless you can get their license, it might be hard to collect.
Once again, though, we are going to be looking at a collections component on this, and that seems to be fairly effective with ACS providing the support on that. And if maybe we can just proceed, Lou Miller is going to do a presentation on his side. We're also going to be presenting some video clips of actual video at the intersection of violations that we see occurring there right now. And then we'll be more than happy to take some more additional questions at that time. Can I have the stand, please?
Thanks. Give this a try here. Oh, we skipped a page, I think. Good evening, everyone, by the way. We can go ahead and move to the next slide. Oh, I'm going to do it? There we go. All right. This is an example of violation clip from one of our systems as the dangers of red light running. With each violation, we'll get into it a little more later in the presentation. There are still images taken along with the 12-second video clip. A typical intersection layout out on the roadside includes a camera approximately 85 feet back from the approach. You can cover up to, the camera systems we're proposing for Wooddale can cover up to 4 lanes. Obviously, the Thorndale, Wooddale Road eastbound and westbound approach is 3 lanes, including a left turn lane. The system is compatible with either in-ground loops, as Officer Shackelford mentioned, or a non-invasive above-ground detection system. If that is selected by the city, then there is one additional pole on the roadside which holds the radar heads, which are that non-invasive detection system. Not shown on this photo is the front camera, which is directly across the approach. Again, about, generally speaking, usually about 75 feet on the far side of the approach, which would take license plates off the front of the vehicle as well. A few items of interest regarding the cameras. They are, unlike the TraxGuard system that's out there right now, it is a digital system. The images are 11 megapixel. As mentioned, there's a 12-second video clip, and we're going to show you an entire violation sequence with the still images and videos at the end of the presentation. So each, it's actually a DVR system, very similar to what you would have if you have TiVo at home, in that it continually runs, but then only saves down to the hard drive if the system is triggered with a violation, a 12-second clip. It can be rotated among approaches. The 12-bit, not going to spend a lot of time on that, but what that allows us to do is to take both different slices of the images, both light and dark, at various times of the day to make sure we can recover the license plate. All of the data regarding violations, and you'll see again some samples of this when we get to the sample images and video, is attached to the image and encrypted at the time of capture. And to mimic a film system, the evidence security of a film system. And again, it can be used with either in-ground loops like you have with your TraxGuard system here in Wooddale, or a non-invasive above-ground system. Picture of what the cameras look like. It's a very simple box. So it would actually fit in the housing that you have out in your TraxGuard system. And it, probably more important on the right is it's unlike some other vendors, it's an industrial grade camera built for photo enforcement. So there's no mechanical shutter on the camera, which reduces issues with camera breakdown significantly. The service that we offer, and I'm not going to go down the entire chart, it's there because we're going to talk about the individual items in a little more detail, but it's a true turnkey system. So where most of the services are provided by ACS, reducing the administrative burden on the city, what we can't do is pick the approaches where you guys would like to have red light cameras. We will do site evaluation studies. We've already been asked to do that out at the Thorndale-Wooddale Road approach. We've done video validations too, which I think the chief is going to show some examples of. We will do all the maintenance, the initial review, but as we move down the chart, as Officer Shackelford mentioned, that all of the violations are reviewed by the police department over the web, and nothing is issued without police department approval of the violation. Again, moving down through the back end pieces of support for the program, well, another thing that we cannot do for the city is provide the administrative hearing officer. So if someone does elect to go to hearing, obviously it will be the city's hearing officer that makes the final determination, not the vendor, as to whether or not someone is liable or not. To get into a few of these things in a little more detail, what these screens show, and I know it's a little hard to read up there, but basically the way the systems work is there's a communication system out at the roadside, usually wireless, in which the images and data are downloaded multiple times daily. They're uploaded into our web-based processing system, where we review the images and then either push them forward in the process or reject them based upon those procedures and business rules that are established by the city. 2 points I'd like to make here. One, the city sets those business rules and procedures, and unlike some vendors, we do make available to the city every single event that's captured by the systems over the web in the database. You actually have that for your TraxGuard system now as well. So you can audit at any time whether or not we're following the procedures that the city has set. I'll keep moving. Sorry. In terms of the DMV interface, we'll actually obtain the DMV using our relationships that we have with all 50 state DMVs. We do already have an established relationship with the Illinois Secretary of State. We are IDOT's vendor for their work zone speed program here in the state. And we recently signed an agreement with NLETS, which allows us to obtain out-of-state DMV. We've always been able to obtain out-of-state DMV, but sometimes it's taken us a while as a private vendor, and now we can commit to do that within 5 business days of a violation occurring. We perform, moving down that chart that we showed here earlier, we perform a double-blind verification. So when the DMV comes back, a second person rekeys in the plate that was photographed. And that DMV information must match what we originally sent off for DMV in order to move forward in the citation issuance process. Again, we talked about, and there's an example screen that the officers look at in terms of approving, that no violation will be approved without police officers' authorization. We'll design the notices how the city wants. Generally, in a registered owner-based program like you have here in Illinois, you'd include 3 images on your notices. One of the vehicle prior to going through the approach with the light red, a second showing the vehicle having proceeded through the approach with the light red, and a third, a close-up of the license plate, whether from the front or the rear of the vehicle. All images are printed in color on the notices. We're responsible for all the mailing costs, printing and mailing costs associated with the notices. And there's a detailed reporting package that goes with the systems that allows you to track not only program-wide, but also each one of the individual sites in terms of how many violations they're capturing, how many of those turn into issued citations, and for those that aren't issued citations, why that is. It also includes the complete financial reporting package, accounts receivable reports, et cetera. We will staff a phone line to answer questions, schedule hearings. Registered owners of vehicles do have the opportunity to designate drivers of the vehicle if it was someone other than themselves. So we would handle the processing of that paperwork. We're going to show you an example in a minute of the citizen portal. What happens is when you receive a notice in the mail, and I don't know, Alderman, whether you have this in Chicago or not, but we print a PIN number on the notice itself, which allows an individual to go on a website. Again, we're going to show you this in a minute and actually view their violation images and the 12-second video clip. So,
Not in Chicago,
okay.
at least not when I got it.
That is part of the system that we offer. In terms of payment processing, we'll establish a lockbox, and there'll also be pay-by-web opportunities. When we receive a letter or a piece of correspondence on the program, we image it, scan it, and it's also available with the citation record on the database. And we'll also perform delinquent collection services for the city as well.
Who pays for it when it gets hit? When it gets hit, who pays for it to
For the
repair it?
system?
Yeah.
Yeah, we provide a repair-replace guarantee with our contract. So it's our responsibility well, let me back up. What we generally do in our contracts, and obviously this would be a subject for negotiation, is it's our responsibility unless it's hit by a city employee.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, so, and then we usually.
And then while it's down, does the fee abate?
No, and I think the chief will speak that while the TraxGuard system has been down for being hit, we've never billed the city a dime for the time that the TraxGuard system has been down. And we will do the same thing with the red light system. Hopefully it won't be down.
Right.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Just some more screens from the database, but I think one thing that distinguishes our system is that included within the database is a complete adjudication system, which includes a court calendar, so all the hearings can be scheduled online. We can schedule hearings over the phone, through the web, whatever the city decides to do according to a preset calendar established by the city. The hearing officer, when they're in the room, simply accesses the website, sees those cases that are set for the day, which are shown on these screen prints here. Again, a little hard to see on the screen. I apologize. And can view all the violation images, videos, and enter their disposition of the case right there online in the courtroom, reducing paperwork, administrative burden. I bring up other administrative actions because ACS has been in the violations processing business for 20 years. We know that there are things such as return mail, address updates that come back from the post office on notices, bounced checks. People sometimes pay twice. Our database is set up to handle all of those situations for the city. So we can provide the full range of administrative services. There's not going to be hidden tasks that have to be performed. And that's my presentation, but we're going to do some technology demonstrations, I believe.
Could we take questions yet?
Sure. If you'd like to just wait till you see the next video clips, I think your questions are probably going to increase.
Okay.
East. Yeah. Left-hand lane, you take along their vehicle. And the radar that will validate. Rush hour traffic, which would make the enforcement very difficult, if at best. I'm going to play that again for you one more time. You might have missed it. Electric equipment down that would be validated. And if you remember, technical glitch. Once again, the three violations we'll be looking at are right-hand turn against the red traffic signal, straight drive-through against the. You remember this particular view from the east looking to the west. This is where our last fatality. On the left side. Right-hand turn on red. The truck. Boom. Exactly how we had our last fatality over there. It's the red. Keep in mind, we did this with in a